Tobin, you've worked on nearly 100 film productions, probably more than that. And I heard you say that it matters to you the group that you're going to be working with. So how did you know with the Manson Family Vacation this was the right group for you, the right sort of film family, if you will?
Josh Logan told me it was. And Josh Logan is one of the producers on this film. And I had worked with him on a film that we shot in Thailand, I don't know, 10, 15 years ago. And we kind of stayed in touch, and he told me about Jay Duplass and Jay Davis, and he said, these people are experienced, they can do what they say they're going to do, and they're first rate. And so that was step one. And they came well recommended, and they delivered on what was promised also.
So in the future or for prior projects, how would you know as well that you felt it was the right vibe? Was it a gut feeling when there was another production that wanted you to be a part of it? Was there just something that told you, yes, do this, no, don't?
The material. Once I was told that these guys know how to make a film, then I looked at the material carefully and I thought, wow, this material has the potential to be a multi-layered story that's amusing and heartfelt and dynamic in many ways and makes you think. And so it was very rich in that way.
And Tobin, when he read the script, was very focused on the whole. You know, he came back with notes that weren't just about his character, but were about the story itself, the brothers' relationship. And I was like, what, you know, I really want to work with this guy who cares about, you know, the entire movie.
Right. I want to get more into the improv in just a moment because I think there were some parts. But for Jay, I felt that I really related to Conrad's character. And I'm wondering, for your various screenings, festival screenings maybe, have others come up to you and said, I am Conrad, or my brother or sister is Conrad and I relate to this story?
I've had, yeah, I mean, I've had people who very strongly relate to Conrad. I feel like it kind of, you know, certain people kind of gravitate more toward Nick and certain gravitate more toward Conrad. And for me, it's, you know, I don't have a brother, I'm an only child. So for me, these two characters are kind of sides of my personality. So, I mean, that's how I kind of related to it as I was writing it. Whereas for Jay and Linus, each of them, you know, they have brothers and have sibling relationships, so they approached it that way. For me, it was, you know, it was two sides of myself in a way.
Interesting. Well, you had a successful Kickstarter campaign in 2013, and I just want to read something from the description and ask you why you feel the theme is important. So it's about a theme of people who feel lost in society, in their family, and in their job. Why does that interest you?
I feel like both the characters are lost in their own ways, and they both kind of have to reckon with their pasts. I mean, that's what the movie to me is about, is each of them reckoning with their past in their own ways.
Okay, I love it. Now, I believe you gave the actors a lot of freedom, in some sense, to improvise their lines. Can you talk about how that was, and either for either of you, Tobin, just being, you know, as your character Blackbird, did you feel, you know what, Jay, can I say this rather than that? Was it a sort of a set where you just felt that freedom, or how closely did you want the actors to follow the lines?
I mean, with Jay and Linus, it was clear to me early on that that they should be able to go off script to, you know, to say that I didn't want to focus on the lines. I focused on the beats of the scene, but it was best for them to kind of say things in their own words. And, you know, once we got the scene in the can, then we could explore a little more because they had, you know, their special kind of rapport together.
Yeah, and it worked.
And yeah, I mean, it sort of depended on how somebody wanted to work. Yeah, I mean, with Tobin, I feel like we improv'd a bit, but we stuck a little more closely to the script. I
Oh,
think.
yeah, yeah. There was, we had an early on discussion about some remarks that Blackbird made about Charlie. And we made some adjustments when it came to those remarks. Except for that, I stuck pretty much to what was scripted and kind of worked around the boys, depending on what they were doing at the moment. Yeah.
How does that feel for you when you are given freedom with lines? Is it freeing? Is it a little bit terrifying, or it depends on the project?
It's an interesting question. Because I've had both experiences. I mean, most of the projects that I've worked on are scripted. And if the script is well written and and ready, then it doesn't need you to be improvising. And most of the directors that I worked with, whether it's Wolfgang Peterson or Sidney Pollack, they don't want you improvising. The script is crafted in a certain kind of way, and that's the way they want it. But this is a different situation. Sometimes it's marvelous, and sometimes it seems really chaotic. So I have both feelings about it.
You do. Do you still take acting classes, even after all these performances?
In my head.
In your head, okay.
Yeah, no, I work all the time on backstory, all the time, so I know what it is I'm talking about. Because a line can mean many different things, and I need to know specifically what I mean by what I say.
Interesting. Jay, for you, I believe you work full-time at a post-production house. Mm-hmm. And so how are you balancing doing the screenwriting? Because I imagine you're dealing with a full plate. And I think you were a runner-up in the Nickel Fellowship screenplay competition.
Wow.
So
yeah.
how are you managing all this?
I was lucky enough that, my work kind of let me take a sabbatical to shoot the movie.
Nice.
Here.
Yeah. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, thank you, whoever you are.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks, HR. Sorry.
But yeah, and I've just been working on things, as I have the time, It's a balancing act.
Do you attack the day writing pages, or do you find yourself procrastinating?
When I'm writing something, I tend to do it the first thing.
Wow.
In the morning, and no, I tend to really attack it when I'm in the swing of it.
So you're sort of your own taskmaster, because I know that's half the battle. So many people come to LA, they work that job, and everything creative starts to fall by the wayside.
Yeah, no, I'm a self-motivator. Yeah, and there's no one else who's gonna be, who's gonna be doing it for me. So, yeah.
Where do you think that comes from?
I don't know. The compulsion to work and succeed. Genetic? I'm not sure.
This question is for either of you. Any advice for the Conrads of the world, the ones that are slightly different? Maybe they're not embraced by society, the workplace, their families. They're not bad people, but they're just slightly different, and maybe they're not on the level of the Nicks in terms of career and social status.
I would only say that what's interesting about this film is that the Conrads of the world can learn something from the Nicks of the world. And the Nicks, as you see in this film, learn something from the Conrads. We get stuck in our own perceptions and way of looking at things, and we need to be open. We're all connected. And one of the wonderful things about this film is that it's so much about finding the truth. And it leaves you thinking.
It does.
well said. I can't say anything better than that.